Emma, rock and roll.
You're live, Your Worship.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our 5:30 appointment. For those of you who are aware, we started today at 3 o'clock, and so we've already got 2 hours under our belt. We did an in-close meeting and got a few things resolved. So now we will be proceeding to our open part of our meeting. I would like to start this evening's meeting with our land acknowledgement, and I could ask Councillor Balin to read it for us tonight, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to begin our meeting tonight by recognizing the First Nations, Métis and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tianatati, the Wendat, and is the home of many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work towards new understandings and new relationships and ask for guidance in all that we do.
Thank you very much, Councillor Beelan. And just for the crowd's interest, our mayor thinks he needs a bit of a holiday, so he'll be joining us again tomorrow, but he's absent for tonight, so we wish him well in his holiday spirits. Thank you. First item on, could I get the approval of the agenda? Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated February 23rd, 2026 as presented. Councillor Roderick and Councillor MacArthur. Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Councillor MacArthur.
Yeah, I have a disqualifying interest in 5.1.
5.1? Okay, we'll ask you to step back when the time comes, and we'll go from there. Okay, thank you. First item, public participation. Be advised that the comments and views expressed under public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview, Council, or the administration. Public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. Questions or comments are to be directed to the mayor, deputy mayor in this case. Questions shall not refer to personnel matters, litigation or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting or any item considered confidential. For those members of the public not able to attend this meeting in person, written public participation can be provided through the township portal. Written comments shall be received prior to noon, Friday before the regularly scheduled council meeting. Remember, please share the time with your fellow citizens. So first, Emma, do we have any written participation?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We did not receive any electronic written participation questions for the general public participation period.
Thank you very much. To the floor, is there anybody who wishes to speak in the public participation period? Anybody? Mr. Ziegel, please come to the microphone. You call me whatever you like. What?
Is your microphone on?
Gord, is your mic on there? Make sure the green button's on.
Sorry, I should know that. Basically, I'm just stepping up here tonight because obviously I'm representative in the Creemore bleacher situation. So I just want to make myself available during that session involving the Creemore bleachers, or I'm happy to speak now. I'm not sure what council prefers me to do.
If it's okay with you, Gord, we're going to hold you off until we get into that session. And the council is aware that he's available for question and answer. And he can step up. We can give him a quick minute to speak then. But it would make more sense to keep the meeting flowing that way. So if you're good with that, let's hold you off until a little later.
Okay, great. So that would bring me to the second reason I'm here tonight.
Go ahead.
I'd like to speak on the proposed increase in our fees for our development.
Okay, hold on a second.
Sure.
You technically can't, I'm just going to explain to you as explained to me, you technically can't. I'll give you a minute to explain it or make it quick, but we've already passed the fee structure, so I'll let you just throw a couple cents worth in and go from there.
Okay, that wasn't my understanding. Thank you for allowing me some leeway. Basically, as first of all, thank you for having me this evening. Council, staff, members of the public online. My name is Gord Ziegel. I'm a builder of a small construction company out of Creemore. I'm also a citizen of Clearview Township with 3 children and 4 grandchildren. I'm concerned with the increase in costs that in the last 5 or 6 years have seemingly to me, not just as a builder, that those costs that are borne by my clients and by the people that live in this township that I live with, work with, play with, and talk to. We need to put a stop to this bleeding, ladies and gentlemen. Costs are too high, things cost too much. The only place that I know to come to is our government. You guys are the only ones that can control our costs, and we need to stop charging more for services. The costs are food banks. We have too many people that need our food banks because of taxes, because of high development fees. In top of the development fees, what many people don't understand, and I'm not sure that our council even understands, the extra fees that are on top of development fees. And I'll just name a few. Lot grading and drainage policies. If I build on a lot when I've got a neighbor beside me on one side or the other, all I need is a couple of swales and an elevation that keep me at the same height or higher than the foundation. For me to have to pay Tatum's or Burnsides or all these companies $10,000 and send that on to my clients is causing a problem in our society. We need to change. Hydrological studies. We have bylaws in place that you all voted for. If somebody creates a new lot, you're requiring them to do a hydrological study to prove that they have water. Yet the hydrological study that any accredited firm will do will not guarantee that they have water. The study's not worth the paper that it's written on, let alone the $5,000 cost to do it that has to be borne by my clients. We don't need it. We shouldn't have it. Let the well driller drill the well, and he's licensed to tell you that there's a potable and a quantity of water that will support the needs. Many cases in our township, people are running out of water. We don't have water in some situations. Paul's the perfect person to talk to about this. What do? We put in cisterns. Out west in Saskatchewan, they have no water. What do they do in their basement? They get a tanker truck in and fill it with water. That's how they have their water. We need to change and do away with that requirement.
Not to cut you off, but you've got some great points here.
Sure.
Before we go too far with the presentation, I think it would only be prudent that we document this so we don't blindside anybody or any department. So can I ask you to prepare what you've got here to give to council? So, because you remember, this is a tripartite situation. We've got school boards, we've got county, and we've got our local. And I think you're making some really good points on it, but I think it would be more effective if we get the ability to work it through our departments first.
I appreciate that, Paul, but I'm not blindsiding everybody because I think everybody here I've talked to about this before, and you're one of them.
Yeah, and I think there's some valid points. So I think, like I say, I'll give you a couple more minutes to speak, but make it quick, and but I'll ask a report from you afterwards so that we can pinpoint some exact things, okay?
Okay. I'm going to make another couple of points on costs that just aren't necessary. Why do we have to pave our laneways in our settlement areas? It makes no sense to me. Avening, Creemore, Stayner, New Lowell, Brentwood. Why do we have a requirement in our bylaws that when we build a house that I have to pave the laneway? We all know what the costs are for paving a laneway. Why can't we just allow gravel and our clients can save tens of thousands of dollars? We need to lessen the costs for the people of Clearview Township, and that this is a way that we can do it. I appreciate what you're saying, Paul, and I'll cut this off. But we as a council, we need to dedicate and commit to our people to reduce the costs in this township. Our food bank use is way up. There's kids without food, clothing, shelter. We need to set an example and be a leader in government and start cutting costs and costs to the people that pay taxes in this township. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. And I'm sure council has heard this, and we'll look forward to more from you on that, in that topic. So thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in public participation? Ask the second time. Anybody wants to speak? Ask the third time? Okay. Any other comments? Okay, we'll close the public participation period. Delegations. I believe we have one here from Skydive Wasaga Beach. Am I correct? Please come to the podium. Mr. MacArthur, you've excused yourself, so if you can either sit in the back or you can listen and go from there. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Melanie Case, and this is Leslie Farkas.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, council and staff. Really appreciate the opportunity to present this proposal.
Yes. We're here representing Skydive Wasaga Beach. We are an award-winning aviation company and skydiving company that has been operating a safe and successful operation for the past 10 years. Part of our aviation operation, it's been based in Clearview Township already, and we're here tonight to formally request council support in relocating our full request to council of relocating skydive operations to Clearview, establishing this township as the permanent home of our company. So beyond operations, just to give you a little background about us, we're deeply proud of the role that we played in the community that we've operated in. We've won numerous business awards, Small Business of the Year, Spirit Awards, Tourist and Marketing Awards. We really submerge ourselves in the community that we are based in. We've hosted national skydive competitions. We've created aviation festivals as part of education and as well as a festival on its own. We support many charitable initiatives. We've built tourism events that draw visitors from across Canada. So we don't simply just run an aircraft, we create an experience, and it's a community engagement, and it's about regional visibility.
And above and beyond that, I mean, we are a family-run business and we're very community-oriented. We have been from day one. Our big focus has always been to make sure that we represent our community in the most positive of lights, as well as support all of the local community initiatives, which we have done throughout the years for all of our local stuff. I mean, if they need some sort of support, aerial support for an event where they need a flag flown or something like that, we always do that at our expense.
Yes.
Because it's something that helps boost our community and kind of give those charities a little bit of a boost that they can always use.
And so this evening, we want to come here today to discuss about this being our full identity. So every visitor, every event, every competition, every social media post, and every national participant, we want to see the name Clearview attached to our operation fully.
So essentially, we've been operating 10 years as Skydive Wasaga Beach, but we have been operating out of Edenville. So essentially, we have been Skydive Clearview the whole time. And the way things have arisen now, we've got this opportunity to present it in a different light. And one of the advertising slogans that we've come up with is giving you a clear view to the beautiful Georgian Bay. So we plan on really kind of pushing that where we can go and lean on the Blue Mountain and kind of say, you know, you've got Blue Mountains, you've got Georgian Bay, you've got Wasaga Beach, you've got all of this. So all of their tourism initiatives can kind of lead into this one as well. So we have this idea to kind of unify that whole structure of Simcoe County doing what they have been doing for so long, RTO 7.
But right here in Clearview Township.
100%. And right now, our operation has been operating for 10 years. We have a very exemplary safety record. Our reputation with Transport Canada is unmatched. I mean, I'm one of the few people in aviation that can call a Transport Canada inspector at 7 a.m. and they answer my calls. So we've been doing this for a while, and we do it very well. In fact, at this point, we've been asked to help spearhead some initiatives to establish some new standards and set some new regulations, because we're very involved in the policy end of things as well. I am currently the chair of the legal department of the CSPA, which is the Canadian Sport Parachute Association. So we're very heavily involved in all aspects of the sport, not just operating and jumping. In terms of the operation, we have the highest requirements for instructors in the entire world. There is not another operation anywhere in the world, and that includes Skydive Dubai, that requires what we require of our instructors. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, there's about 3,000 instructors-ish in Canada. Out of those 3,000 instructors, about 20 of them are qualified to work for us. So we set the bar very, very high. Obviously, my name's on the door, so I want to make sure that we achieve the standards that we set out to achieve. In terms of the operation, what we're planning on doing here, there really is very little change that we're proposing. Basically, we're just proposing to flatten the farm field and put a gravel parking lot. So in terms of invasiveness environmentally or anything like that, or even permanent effect, we'll have very minimal. You know,
Yeah, we have no service requirements.
So we'll be able to operate with a very minimal, you know, we have in terms of green, we operate on green energy. We have solar, you know, we've been doing this for years, so we have our operations so that it can stand alone without the services, without anybody doing anything. We have our defined flight paths, which we've already had for years, so we kind of take into consideration where we're flying over, and if we ever get any heads up that, you know, somebody's not liking noise, we can adjust our flight paths accordingly. And we've been working with the aviation community for the past decade to make sure that everybody's happy. And when we first got here, they were not sure what to think of us.
But when we first got here, we went and introduced ourselves to all other surrounding areas, all other airports and the
Pilots,
pilot community
of
to make sure that we were working cohesively, because that's how we operate.
So we sat down, we explained to them exactly where we operate, what our flight paths were, and how things work. And since we started, I would say within the first year that changed to the point where they're very supportive. In fact, aviation traffic that comes our way, there's a lot of pilots letting them know, hey, just a heads up, there's, you know, parachuters that way. So everybody kind of works together between the flight schools, the sightseeing operations, the ultralight guys. I mean, we're a community, right? Aviation becomes a very small family, and everybody looks out for everybody. So basically what we're proposing to do is just amalgamate our operation here in Clearview Township, as opposed to the way it's been kind of divided into one and another. And what we're looking to do is really support the objectives of the community for rural land use, sustainable rural land use. It really aligns with the strategic priority of tourism and community identity. It's very, very compatible with the surrounding agriculture. There's no effect. And I mean, in terms of economic spin-off, this is something that actually shocked me. I sat down and did the numbers and went through everything just to see kind of what the effect looks like, what Skydive Wasaga Beach has done over the past 10 years in terms of economic spin-off to the community. I mean, we know we did a lot of stuff for charities, we know we did all that, but when we looked at the numbers, on average, and this is over the past 10 years, we brought in over 4,000 visitors annually, each one spending an average, and that's above and beyond the cost of the skydive, spending an average of $120 to $180 per person while they're here. So we're looking at $720,000 a year worth of economic spin-off to the community. So it's much bigger than I thought it was. And looking at that number, it really makes me feel good to know that we've helped our local businesses in that way and helped bring in the money. And the other part that for us is really big is the support for community events. I mean, I can't stress that enough. We're a family business. Yeah. We've been doing this a long time. And nothing says family like community. And we really feel strongly about that. And what our commitment to Clearview is we have a long-term investment into promotion of Skydive Clearview, which will be pretty much implemented right away should this get approved. It will be a couple of month process, just because it's got a long-standing reputation. So obviously we don't want to do a full rebrand and switch. We want to bring everything over. And then we will be obviously promoting Clearview regionally, nationally, internationally as a tourist destination with world-class views. And that phase rebrand will happen again within the next few months. So we're really looking at becoming what we have been the whole time, which is a Clearview business. and we'd like to continue to be a Clearview business.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this proposal, not just it's a relocation of a landing zone, it's about relocating our roots and planting ourselves fully submersely into the Clearview Township community, bringing the visitors here, hosting the events here, and being a part of the community fully.
We can always fly Santa into the parade.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you,
time.
Leslie, thank you. That's great. So I'm sure we're going to have a few nice questions for you.
I'm sure.
Before we start, I'd ask Terry, are you in on this one, or is this you, or is that for any comments on from a sports point of view? No?
Through your worship, no, I'm not part of these discussions.
Just who do we have? John?
Presentation was really good, though.
John and Derek. Derek, you get the first kick at the cat this time. Anything you want to talk about with as far as the zoning that they're asking for, or anything like that?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I could just add on what Skydive Clearview is looking for. I believe in discussions that we've had with them, with myself and the CAO, they're looking for council's permission to rezone a portion of the township lands. I believe it's 1585 Klondike Park Road. It's the same site where the Klondike Park well site is. The landing zone, I believe it was on one of their slides that they're proposing, is quite a ways north of where the actual reservoir site is. But they would be seeking permission from council to basically rezone a portion of those lands to permit the use of the landing zone.
Thank you. John, do you wish to comment on that, please?
Thank you, Deputy. The other aspect is that they will be getting insurance in our name. They have a very good insurance policy. We'll be making sure that that's in place. And otherwise, I think does this qualify as the public meeting, or will there have to be another public meeting?
I can answer that. Through the Deputy Mayor. So through the zoning bylaw amendment process, it would follow the regular statutory requirements that's typical of a zoning bylaw amendment. This is just kind of a kickoff for them to get council's blessing to have the authorization to submit an application on township-owned lands. So the regular statutory process will follow should council provide the approval and they go through the zoning bylaw amendment process.
Okay, good, thank you. John, you're good with that?
I'm fine with that.
Good, thank you. Councilor Walker, any questions, comments? Good. Councilor Beelan.
Thank you, Worship. I was just confused as to where you're going to put this, actually. Your map doesn't show, but it is on township property then, where the well sites are?
So
And currently you're at the aerodrome itself, right? The Edenville Airport or whatever?
So we take off from Edenville Aerodrome. We've been landing for the past 10 years at the sports park.
Okay.
So just basically 100 numbers down the road.
Okay.
So in terms of the location, the specific location on that property, where that is, we will be at the furthest north end of that property.
Okay.
So there would be basically 2 fields separating us.
Yep.
And just to give you an idea of how big that is for us in terms of skydiving.
I think that's a cornfield right now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple cornfields right there.
Yeah, I know where it is now. And my second part is, you're familiar with the over-horizon radar thing? Is that going to affect you guys at all, or?
No,
You have
it's
probably
not
the
gonna-
military wouldn't answer you anyway, so.
No, it's not going to affect us, but let's just hope it's not a thing.
Okay, thanks.
Good, thank you. Councilor Deneen, you're good. Councilor Broderick? That leaves me. First question back to Derek. And John may step in on this, do we have any leasing arrangements or responsibilities with the existing tenants that are on that farmland?
My understanding is that there was an agreement, but I think it's expired. Somebody that was haying the property.
I almost can throw this at Todd, if he knows. Dan, you know? Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The last time we entered into a lease agreement, there was, I believe that was maybe 2 years ago or so with a farmer. There was an option for a 1-year lease, which I think was last year.
Okay.
So I believe that lease agreement would need to be renewed to some event. So that would be for on the photo that was up on the presentation. we currently, it's roughly about 44 acres of land that we lease out. So it's the more northern piece past the woodlot. The southern piece, sort of the tree line where we're doing the well site right now, there hasn't been anybody farming on that. We have, I think, a local farmer that cuts the hay or cuts the grass down that way. But Todd would certainly know. It's a good thing that he's here today.
Well, I remember, Todd, I'll just throw you under the bus, Todd. I remember when we did the bus tour, when we first got elected,
Yeah.
we did have a contract, because
Yeah.
that was before. Okay. Okay, good, thank you. Second question, I'll throw it to Todd again. Do we have any concerns about them using the property while construction is going on?
Through Deputy Mayor, I think the only concern that I think that I would raise is that our contractor, very fortunate, Maple Rinder, has been conducting drone footage for us on an ongoing basis. I'm sure that could be.
No problem.
I'm sure that could be coordinated at some point.
Have you talked to Maple Renders, or has anybody talked to them?
We haven't yet, no.
So we should make that, if we do anything, a condition of it? Okay. Just a question, how far do you have to be away from where you take off to where you drop?
There's no specific requirement. We prefer to keep a distance from the airport because obviously landing traffic, we don't want to be within the landing pattern of the airport.
Okay.
So the distance that we are now, I mean, you could decrease it by another maybe 1.5 kilometers at most before we start to get into that into the pattern where I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be putting any kind of pressure between two traffics like that. So right now we're at a really comfortable distance. They know where we are. Where we are landing, when we're landing and doing our landing pattern stuff, that starts at about 1,000 feet. You won't have planes at that altitude. The altitude for the planes have got to be 1,000 feet over a built-up area, and because of all the housing and the area over there, they have to maintain a minimum of 1,000, so we're above them.
Okay, so I know it said in the presentation it was 300 meters by 300 meters you need for a drop zone, correct?
300 feet by 100 meter by 100 meter.
100 meter by 100 meter.
Yeah.
So the rest of the property is going to be sterilized, or is it just, it
Oh,
can
no,
be used for anything?
it can be used for anything.
Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah. You
It
have,
can still be hay.
Yeah, there's no requirement. The farmer can still farm away. Yeah. In fact, that's pretty much common practice in my industry.
Okay.
Most places are operated in rural destinations with farmers farming the land directly around the landing area.
Super. Okay, thank you. Any other questions that have come up from the discussion? Everybody's good? John, you're good? You're good? Derek, you're good? I don't care. Todd. Hey, go ahead.
If I may ask a question, so the location that you have, or you had on your presentation, is that just a general area? Like, could we move it further to the north?
Yes.
If we need?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
wanted
Yes.
to?
The reason I had it selected there was because there's an existing culvert right there, and I figured rather than adding another culvert and adding more to the issue, we just go off the existing culvert. So, I mean, we can always run a little road down and move it north.
Oh, we could.
Like
we
a
could
little-
change
a
the
little
en-
driveway.
We could change the entrance location, not a big deal.
Okay.
Is there a distance away from a house that you have to be?
No, my minimum distances are 100 feet from any obstacles. So we're well more than that. That's why I request 300 feet by 300 feet, because that gives me 3 times what my minimums are,
needed, yeah.
so that I don't like to play on the line. I like to give buffer. It's very
I
important.
think just the reason why I ask is that if we lease out that land again.
Yeah.
And the landing area being in the middle of the field.
Oh, yeah, we
It'd
could
be
easily push
challenging
it.
for a farmer to, farm one side, farm the other. So There's just an
It would be preferable, honestly, to move it a little bit north, to the north edge. It was just because of the culvert that it went there in the first place.
All right.
Good, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We've got some good questions answered and nice presentation, so we'll proceed accordingly. So thank you for the
Thank you
presentation.
very much. Thank you very much for your time, council.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you to council. If you are wanting staff to move from this presentation, direction needs to be provided at this meeting. Otherwise, it's just a presentation that was received for information. So if you're wanting staff to start negotiating a lease agreement and for them to start a zoning bylaw application on behalf of the township, that needs to happen at this meeting.
Okay, so that means we have to have a motion to get the staff to enter into an agreement?
Yes, if council is of the opinion that they would like staff to move forward with investigating this more and drafting up a lease agreement and bringing that forward to council at a subsequent meeting, and what that looks like, we need direction from this meeting to do so.
Councillor Broderick, I believe you want to speak to that item?
Yeah, I was just wondering if the clerk had a motion prepared.
Well, that was coming next. Are you guys okay to hear the motion? Okay.
Just by the discussion that occurred, a motion that could be on the floor would be direct staff to work with Township Legal Counsel to draft a lease agreement with Skydive Wasaga Beach for use of the portion of township-owned land located at 1585 Klondike Park Road for up to a 3-year period, because I believe a temporary zoning use would be for a 3-year period, and that council authorized Skydive Wasaga Beach to submit a temporary zoning bylaw amendment application to change the use of the portion of the lands located at 1585 Klondike Park Road at Skydive Wasaga Beach's cost. And I believe our Director of Planning did get legal advice on that they could submit an application for a zoning bylaw, temporary zoning bylaw amendment on behalf of the township, correct?
One quick question, Madam Clerk. Would our planner be providing the agreement, negotiating that, like in terms of lease and whatnot, or who would be determining all that?
That would be through our CAO. CEO Ferguson will be working with legal counsel. I believe Skydive Wasaga Beach has had a similar agreement with the town of Wasaga Beach, so we will be working from that agreement as a starting point, if that is the direction that council would like us to go in.
You're okay with that, John? Thank you, CEO Ferguson. Okay, Madam Clerk, I'll ask that you read a motion then, please.
The motion on the floor is be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby directs staff to work with Township Legal Counsel to draft a lease agreement with Skydive Wasaga Beach for use of a portion of township-owned land located at 1585 Klondike Park Road for a 3-year period, and that Council authorize Skydive Wasaga Beach to submit a temporary zoning bylaw amendment application to change the use of a portion of the lands located at 1585 Klondike Park Road at Skydive Wasaga Beach's cost.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Are you an incorporated company?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll ask you another question afterwards, but that's another one. Okay. We've heard our motion. Anybody have, yes? Okay, I'm going to call for the motion to be. Motion, Councillor Broderick, Councillor Walker, all in favor? And that carries unanimously, and it is noted that Councillor MacArthur is absent. Have you spoken to our EDC officer?
No, not yet.
You will be.
Okay. That's good. That's good. That's it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, John, they get nothing until they talk with them. Okay, well, good luck with
Sounds
your
great.
venture.
Thank you
You've
so
got our
much.
preliminary
Appreciate your time.
support, and we'll see what happens with it. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, we will now be moving into our public meeting. Okay, welcome back. Okay, we will now initiate our public meeting portion of tonight's agenda. This public meeting is held in accordance with Section 12 of the Development Charges Act 1997 as amended to present and obtain a public input on the municipality's proposed development charges, DC bylaw, and underlying background study. As identified in the notice of public meeting, please be advised that your written or oral comments will form part of the public meeting. Your communication and any personal information therein will be made available to the public. The following public meeting will involve a brief presentation by the Township Consultant, Watson and Associates Economics, Washington Associates Economics Limited, including a brief explanation of any written comments received. a period for public comments or questions, if any, and an opportunity for questions by council. Daryl Abs from Watson, welcome, of Watson Associates, will be presenting the development charges update study. So Darren, take her away.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, members of council. Pleasure to be here this evening. So I have a brief presentation. We'll go through the presentation as required under the Development Charges Act. Then public may make any representations, council may ask questions, and I'm happy to answer those. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, my name's Daryl Abs. I'm a managing partner with Watson Associates Economists Limited. I know that's a long name, should probably shorten that. I've been with the firm over 11 years now, and I led the preparation of the 2024 Development Charge Background Study and assisted in the preparation of the 2019 Development Charge Background Study. And so today we will be just talking a little bit about the public meeting purpose, why we do it, and a quick overview of development charges. I will talk a little bit about the 2024 development charge study and the update to the development charge study that we've undertaken and which we're going to be speaking to today. There's been some legislative changes that have occurred since 2024, so we'll speak a little bit about those. And then we'll talk about the updated development charge rates, and then happy to answer any questions. Next slide, please. And next slide. And so the public meeting is a requirement under the Development Charges Act. One of the things we need to do is release a development charges background study. That background study needs to be posted on the township's website, and that update study was posted on January 9th, 2026. From there, that study needs to be on the website for at least 60 days before council can consider the bylaw and pass the bylaw. And so we'll talk a bit about how we've met that requirement. Next slide, please. And so development charges, just at a high level, they are a revenue tool used by municipalities to recover the capital costs associated with new development. So we have new residential development, new businesses coming to the township. Because of that, we need to build infrastructure to accommodate that development, and the intent of development charges is to utilize this revenue tool to recover that capital cost. These costs are in addition to what a developer would normally construct as part of their subdivision. And so if you think of a typical subdivision, inside there's the internal roads, the water mains, the sewer mains under those roads. All that would be paid for and installed by the developer. Development charges are for the broader infrastructure to connect those developments to the township's infrastructure. And so we're empowered to impose these charges under the Development Charges Act, and that's what guides the preparation of the background study, this public process, and the implementation of the bylaw. With respect to the calculation of the charges, there's something like 60 or 70 clauses in the Development Charges Act. But just to sum it up very briefly, we take those costs associated with new development, divide it by the new development, and we come up with a development charge per unit for residential growth and per square foot of gross floor area for non-residential growth. Next slide, please. And next slide. And so as I mentioned, there was the development charge background study prepared in 2024. That background study looked at all of the services in the township. We passed a bylaw in June 2024, which included a growth forecast looking out over the 10-year period of about 7,600 people and about 9,800 residential units, 400,000 square feet of non-residential space. When we're looking at the urban area, it's just under 28,000 people to the build-out forecast, and just under 14,000 residential units, and 12,376,000 square feet of non-residential space. Next slide, please. Now, this table is impossible to read on the screen, but I'll just briefly touch on the important parts here. Really what this shows is the development charges for residential are in different categories. So we have a single and semi-detached rate, multiples, which are your townhomes. We have apartments, 2 bedrooms or larger, small apartments, which is 1 bedroom or a studio apartment. And then we have special care, special dwelling units. On the non-residential side, the very last column, it shows the charges per square foot of development. And so we break down this table into the total township-wide charges. That's the first area. The next section is the urban services for the Stainer area, and that is part of what we're updating here. And so for the Stainer development charges, just for the urban area, we're looking at about $31,000. for a single detached home. In total, with the township and the urban services, it's just under $50,000 per single detached unit. The other charges, we do have some area-specific charges as well for water, wastewater services for Creemore and New Lowell. Next slide, please. And so the reason we're here today talking about updating the charges is that the township received a significant grant for the Klondike water supply, so for the well site, reservoir, and the pumping station. So through the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund, the township received $35 million for that project. And so what this does is reduces the cost of the project that's in the calculations and ultimately reduces the water development charge for the Stayner area, which I'll talk about. In addition, we're including growth-related studies. Back in the 2019 development charge study, we had a charge for growth-related studies, things like official plan amendments, other growth-related studies, master plans, for example, would be included here. When we passed the bylaw in 2024, there was legislation through Bill 23, which said we were no longer allowed to include studies. Shortly after we passed the bylaw, the legislation reverted back and we were allowed to include studies again. So since we were already undertaking this update for the Stayner well site, we included an update to include growth-related studies back into the calculations. Okay, and again, I'll summarize that change. And so what we have in terms of the Klondike well site, there's the $35 million grant. We also have updated tender estimates, which actually was a reduced tender estimate from what we initially thought back in the 2024 DC study. We did have to add in some financing adjustments, so there's some bridge financing and some additional interest costs that the township will incur if they are the only ones funding this project. And then there's some additional outstanding developer credits. And so ultimately what that means for the calculations is that charge back in 2024 dollars goes from $15,814 for a single detached unit down to $7,500 per unit. What you see in that blue bar there is, in brackets, prepaid. If there are some potential agreements where the development community can assist in funding this infrastructure, so if they participate in funding the infrastructure, they get the locked-in rates from 2024, which, based on 2024 dollars minus all the financing adjustments, would be the $6,564. Next slide, please. With respect to growth-related studies, again, mentioned they weren't eligible when we passed the last bylaw. Now they're eligible again. And so incorporating these studies, there's about $1.34 million worth of studies. We have to make a series of deductions, any share of the studies that benefit the existing community or relate to non-DC eligible services. And so after those reductions, we've included about just over $1 million in the development charge for recovery. And that works out to be about $342 per single detached unit in 2024 dollars. And next slide, please. So with respect to the legislative changes, so this was late in 2024 after we passed the previous study. There were some changes where studies were now eligible again, which is why we can include studies this time around. There's a DC rate freeze, so if I'm a developer or builder and I proceed through site plan or zoning bylaw amendment application, my rate is frozen when I submit my complete application. From there, once the township approves the application, I then had 2 years to pull the building permits, and then I had that frozen rate. Otherwise, I'd pay the rate of the day. They've shrunk that 2-year window down to 18 months. Okay, so the updated bylaw reflects that. There's a process for minor amendments to the DC bylaws. I'll talk about that on the next slide. Next slide, please. So then in 2025, Bill 17 was passed, brought an additional exemption for long-term care homes, made some changes to the definition of a capital cost, which I'll talk about in the next slide. And then it brought in more robust opportunities for this simplified amendment process. So when we pass the development charge bylaw, we need to put a study on the website, need to have a public meeting, you pass the bylaw, you need to provide notice, it can be appealed to the OLT. For the three reasons noted, if we're going to reduce the charge for any type or class of development, if we're going to repeal the indexing provisions or change the date of the bylaw to align with the legislation, we can go through a simplified process where we don't need to have a public meeting. You just pass the bylaw, provide notice that you've done so. Okay? If we were just implementing changes related to the Stainer water supply and nothing else, we could have gone through the simplified amendment process, reduced the charge. But because we've incorporated some of these policy changes as well to align with the legislation, we needed to have this full process. The biggest change is for non-rental, so just any residential development. So for rental housing and institutional development, they get to pay in installments over 6 years, over 5 years in 6 installments. But for all residential development, they get to pay at occupancy. So previously, they would pay their development charge at the time of building permit, subject to any of those other things I mentioned. Now they get to pay at occupancy. So what that does is that requires municipalities to come up with a process to require an occupancy permit, and then essentially they have to come back in for their occupancy permit and then pay their charge at that point. Okay. Next slide, please. With respect to credits, so credits are if I'm a developer and I see there's a project on the development charge list, let's say there's a water main, and I'm going to build that water main so I can advance my development faster, let's say. I build a development charge related project. I get a credit for that project. So say it's $1 million, I get a credit of $1 million. What the legislation has done is now group together water and wastewater services. So any water or wastewater project that a developer or builder might complete on your behalf, if they do it for water, they can apply those credits to the wastewater DC as well. Okay, and it's just water and wastewater that have been grouped together. Previously, we could separate those so that when they would come pay their development charge, if they had credits for water, it would only apply to the water component of the DC, not all of the charges. Okay. There's some additional reporting requirements for the Treasury, and then they've introduced a new index into the legislation. Next slide, please. So right at the end of 2025, Bill 60 passed. And so Bill 60 brought in some changes. A big one is land acquisition. If there's going to be land acquisition in the calculations, we have to pull that out and put that cost into a separate calculation and pull it out of the level of service calculations. Because we're not updating or changing any of the services that have a level of service calculation requirement, this change didn't affect us here. The benefit to existing allocations, this requirement is that we need to explain our approach to those benefit to existing, the growth versus non-growth calculations, and incorporate that into the background study. Again, some additional reporting requirements for the treasurer to complete the treasurer's statement by June 30th and submit it to the minister by July 15th. And then lastly, the local service policy requirements. So our firm has always since I've been with Watson, has taken the approach of incorporating a local service policy, which sets out what's the developer's responsibility versus what goes into the development charge calculation. The legislation now mimics those requirements. So luckily, that means we don't have to update the township's local service policy. It already conforms to the legislation. Next slide, please. And next slide. So again, the table is small on the screen, but what we've done here is just highlight the rates that have changed. And so on the township wide component of the charge, you'll see highlighted in yellow, it goes from 0, because as when we passed the bylaw, there was no charge for studies, and now it's $342 per single detached unit. And then for the Stainer water supply charges and the prepaid charges, though, that goes from $15,814 down to $7,499. And so what that means is at the end of the day for a house, a single detached unit in Stainer, the total DC goes down from $46,000 to $38,000. And then the any other single detached unit constructed in the township pays an additional $342 for the studies. Next slide, please. With respect to the non-residential component of the charge, the studies is 16 cents per square foot. And what we see for Stainer is the charge dropping from $22.68 per square foot down to $18.31 per square foot. And then again, 16 cents additional for the other areas of the township. Next slide, please. So this, again, this table is the completed table of what today's development charges would be. But if we go to the next slide, we'll just show you a comparison. When we add in the upper tier charges as well, you can see that for the New Lowell area, the charge, again, goes up slightly for the studies. For the Creemore, goes up slightly for the studies, and for the Stainer area, goes down because of the additional grant funding and the revised tender estimates. And so you can see the relative positions don't change much, except for the Stainer charge, which does change positions, but still relatively in the middle of the survey. Next slide, please. And you'll see the same thing with the commercial, the non-residential charges. Again, Stainer still in the middle of the survey. The others not changing relative position much. And then next slide. Similar with the industrial charges. And next slide. With that, that ends my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Before we go too much further, I just wanted to remind everybody that Kelly is here with us tonight. So Kelly, can you hear us? Hello?
I can hear you. Thank you so much, Your Worship.
Good. And did you learn anything? Did we tell you anything?
I learn everything. I learn something new every time Daryl's on.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he does a good job for all of us. Thank you. So anyways, you're on call so that if we need you, we can talk to you. First of all, before we go any further, Emma, is there any written submissions that we want to talk about tonight?
Thank you, Your Worship. We have received 5 questions from Antonio Martino of the Cortel Group. I'll start with the first question. The DC update should clearly outline the allowance for reallocating DC credits to other categories and services. Section 39(2) of the DC Act provides discretion to municipalities to allocate the credit to other related services, and Section 39(3) provides municipal discretion to allow credits to be allocated to any other DC service. Section 39(2) would apply in cases where a work is done on a road improvement that also includes a sanitary sewer upgrade, such that the credits could be allocated to each service in a manner agreed to by the municipality. Section 39(3) allows credits to be given to any service under the DC bylaw. With the update to the DC Act, the township should consider reallocating credits for all categories.
Well, I guess that will beat you up on that one. You're ready.
So through the chair, so the requirement of the act is now to combine water and wastewater services for the purposes of allocating credits. There's no requirement to allocate any other service, any other credit to any other services. So for example, if there's a road being constructed, if there's road being constructed and they have a credit for the roads DC, you could still just apply that to the roads DC. You don't have to accept that. And so what municipalities do, it's at their discretion. What you would do is on a case-by-case basis, the treasurer would consider it, look at the amount of money in the reserve fund and do a financial analysis to see if it makes sense. It all comes down to cash flow. If you start pulling money from other reserves that you weren't intending to pull from, you might not have enough money to then build the next project, and giving the significant amount of investment into the water projects, you are using a significant amount of debt capacity, and so that would have to be taken into consideration on any request.
So is this all at the council or the township's discretion, or is it something they must do?
So the water and wastewater must be combined for the purposes of credits. If I build a water pipe, I can apply that credit to my wastewater DC. But for any other service, that's up to council. It's at their discretion.
Good, thank you. Any questions on that comments? You're okay? I should ask Dan, is there anything you wanted to comment on that? You're good with that? Okay, thank you. Next question.
While roads is not part of the current DC update, benefit to existing calculations should be reevaluated, especially for projects that should have been undertaken years earlier, as the BTE portion would have been the full responsibility of the township. It appears that a blanket 25% has been used for all projects. Please clarify.
So through the chair, so roads is correctly stated, it's not part of this background study update. And so we did not go back and relook at the roads calculations. I will note, as part of the 2024 development charge background study, there was a number of questions submitted from the development community related to the roads. They were asked, they were answered. And we also actually increased the benefit to existing component, the non-growth related component, on a number of roads from the 2019 study. So the other thing I'll say is that whenever there's changes in timing of construction, it doesn't affect what is growth related, right? So if council's determined an intention that this road project is needed to accommodate growth, and we're planning on building that in 2024, that doesn't happen until 2027. It doesn't change how much we can fund with development charges. The same portion of that project can be funded with development charges. It doesn't change. It's just a timing thing.
Do you want to say anything? No? No, Dan? You're good on those, the comments?
Yeah, I think the only thing, and Daryl pointed it out, back in 2024, we had a closer dive, a closer look at our road projects, but those were all looked at, and that was the reason for an increase to benefit for existing back then.
Okay, good. Thank you. Emma, number 3.
The township's DC page only shows DC reserve fund statements for 2020, 2021, and 2022. Can the township provide DC reserve fund statements for the fiscal years 2023, 2024, and 2025 if they are available?
Should we ask Kelly about that, maybe?
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, that was mishap. 2024 has now been posted, and as soon as I return, 2023 will be up there as well.
Good, thank you. Okay, I think that answers that one. Question 4.
The debt-financed alternative to Stainer Water Supply shows $4.232 million in financing costs for the township portion. How were these financing costs calculated, and what assumptions were used as the basis for the calculation?
Dan, would you like to speak to that, or should I ask Kelly about that one? Or Daryl? Okay, sorry, Daryl. I don't want to take your storm or thunder away from you.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. So through the chair, as part of the calculations, there were some discussions with the development community about funding this project, providing some prepayments or some front-end financing. We were able to get the grant funding from the Hughes funding to apply to the project, but there's still some amount that needs to be funded if the development community doesn't also prepay. And so that's why we also have 2 calculations there. The $7,500 charge, which includes the financing, that assumes the township needs to finance the rest of the project and incorporates that financing cost, which is based on 20 years and 4.5% interest. If all of the developers come to the table and finance the project and the township doesn't need to finance it, that would be removed, and they would just pay the lower of the $6,400.
You're good, Dan?
Yeah, that was the agreement with the county, the additional funding,
Yes.
if you recall that.
Good, thank you. I think we got that one answered. And the last one, number 5.
Why the addition of the $33.882 million in grants, subsidies, and other contributions?
There you go. Daryl, I'll let you go at her. Last one.
And through the chair, that is the $35 million in Hughes funding. When we do the calculations, we have to put everything back into 2024 dollars. So we took the $35 million and deflated it back to 2024 dollars to do the calculations. So that's the grant funding.
Good, thank you. Okay. I guess that answers our written submissions. Emma, there's no more for that then? We're good, thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to make a comment, ask a question, or address council with respect to this presentation? Questions may be directed to or responded to by the presenter or staff, but should be addressed through the chair. Anybody wish to speak on the presentation? Going once. Anybody wish to speak on the presentation? Going twice. Anybody wish to speak on the presentation? Going 3 times. Does a member of council wish to make a comment or ask a question of either staff or the presenter? I'll start this way. Okay, I'll start with, yeah, Councilor McCarthy, you'd be good to start with.
Okay, just want to check on talking about the $35 million grant, but then the tender came in at 54. So the 35 million grant is only going to be 28 million now, I believe is right. So has that been calculated, or have you calculated on taking the 35 out of the 54?
So through the chair, my understanding is the full grant amount of $35 million is what the township is going to receive.
Kelly, would you excuse me just a sec. Kelly, would you just comment on that one too, please?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Through to Councillor MacArthur. The grant itself was originally supposed to be set at 50% just because of the costing of the project. Because the costing came in under, we're actually eligible up to 72% of the entire project, so the full 35 million will be received.
Okay, so you're good on that now, Councilor McCarthy? Good. Yeah, I did too. Okay, you're good on any more questions for Daryl or Johnny? You're good? Going this way, Councillor Walker first, Councillor Balin, Councillor Deneen. I think we're good on the questions then. I had one. Just wanted to talk, Daryl, or a couple of questions, Daryl, for you. And the first question I saw the last graph, how we compared to our neighbors. And it would be looking like we're pretty respectable, middle of the pack for the most part. I saw a report on the weekend that showed the development charges for the City of Toronto for a single-family dwelling at $156,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even with our education, our county, we got a long way to go. But anyways, that's fine. We're happy when people complain about that. The window frozen for 18 months now, once basically they started. And I'll throw this sort of at Derek a bit. We've talked in the past about build it or lose it, okay? So that 18 months starts from the time they pull their permits or they've made their application, or where does that start from?
So the 18 months starts when the application is approved. Then they have 18 months to pull their building permits, and they get that frozen rate, the rate that was as of the date they submitted their application.
Okay, so we've already, Derek, I haven't hit you too often about the people who've come in and want all these extensions for these developments. Is this going to help Derek in his job, or is it going to hurt him, or is it going to affect him, or anything like that? Yeah.
To pass that to Derek.
Derek, not Daryl. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Can you just elaborate?
So
what you mean of how
right now, the new legislation states that if you don't build it, you lose it. And the only way you don't lose it is you come back to council. And we've been saying, we've got plans on our growth for 20 years that they've done nothing with it. Mm-hmm. So are we going to stimulate the growth, or are we going to be still, because now the people are, Daryl, I'll just make a comment to your presentation. If they don't they don't have to pay DC charges until they get occupancy. That should help a builder, correct?
I actually, just a point of clarification I'll ask for Daryl. Is it draft plan approval? That's the deemed approval state of when the 18-month or the freeze kicks in, or is it when a plan is registered?
It's when a plan is registered, full approval.
Okay. So then through to the chair, that's not going to have any impact on us.
It's not
because they could be draft approved for 15 years, but the time starts when the plan is registered.
So the only effect it'll have is what you were saying, Daryl, not Derek, Daryl, in regards to the freezing of DC charges, because if they don't apply within 18 months, up they go, right? Okay.
I could just add, if I may, Chair, typically when a developer is, or at least in my experience, typically when they're getting to that point of registration, they've already cleared a myriad of conditions through the engineering department, planning staff, and they are ready to start building. That's typically the end of the line, and 18 months I think is pretty generous in terms of a time to grant occupancy. When builders were building successfully, it's quite a bit quicker than that, so I don't think it should be of a concern.
Good, thank you. I think.
Deputy Mayor, if I just may add, I think part of the concern that the council may have, and what staff does as well, is with these extended draft plans that have been sitting around for a while, is that maybe Councillor Walker would probably be the only one that was around at the time, but we're looking for financing for the sanitary sewer system in Stayner especially, and they prepaid, as part of that, they prepaid their sewer DC charge back, like I said, number of years ago. So the prepayment of that is similar to what our water is going through right now. What we were looking for was that they prepaid for those sewers, so it's difficult for the municipality to revoke or take back or not extend their draft plan.
Okay. Yeah, that's a challenge, though. Thank you. Okay, we've got the council. That will conclude this public meeting with respect to the municipal's proposed development charges bylaw, and the underlying background study. We thank all who provided any comments for their interest in this matter. These comments will be considered by council prior to the enactment of a development charges bylaw, and as there are no other public meetings, we will resume the regular portion of the agenda. So Daryl, thank you very much for coming. I think everybody's a little smarter because of it, even people in Florida and everything else. So thank you, and we'll continue on with our regular meeting. Thank you. Okay, we got that. I'm moving to item 7 now. Item 7 is be resolved that the Council of Township Clearview hereby approve the minutes of our February 9th, 2026 council meeting as presented. Councillor Broderick, Councillor MacArthur, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Correspondence and information items. Anybody have any correspondence? Do we have any? Closed session. I've got that coming next. Okay. These are closed session report, and first one is a facility lease agreement at 31 Edward Street East. Recommendation, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby directs staff to act in accordance with the direction provided in closed session regarding the facility lease agreement, 31 Edward Street East. Can I do them all? Or do I have to do one? Mover, Deneen, and Walker, all in favor? Carried. Site alteration and movement of fill application, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby directs staff to act in accordance with the direction provided in closed session regarding the site alteration and movement of fill. Mover, Broderick, Elon, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Rural Ontario Development Program, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby directs staff to act in accordance with the direction provided in closed session regarding the Rural Ontario Development Program. Councillor Deneen and Councillor Walker, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. Okay, and we have a couple other reports. The county releases the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness and the County of Simcoe launch the Bridge to the Stability Project in Barrie, and the NVCA letter regarding the modernization system and hardworking brings the NVCA review timelines from 20 days down to 17 days. So good comments, good letters. Please read them on our computer, on our system. Ward reports. Councillor Walker, you wish to add anything?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just accessibility. We were supposed to do a audit of the fire hall, but we were not able to have enough members available for that audit, so that was canceled for a later date. And on the 17th, so we had the library board meeting with regards to the library, and looking forward to setting up our finance committee to fundraise for the Creemore edition. And the other thing I just want to say is this past week I purchased a pin for the Royal Canadian Legion. It's their 100 years. Just to let everybody know that support your legions locally, as they have done an awful lot for their communities they're in, as well as for the nation of Canada. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Walker. Councillor, go ahead, Marty. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I only have one thing to report. February 21st, I was at the Chamber of Commerce Awards Banquet. I was representing council as the mayor and deputy mayor were both away, and I got to speak on behalf of the mayor, and I tried to keep it short and sweet.
And did you?
You can ask John that.
You'll get the last word. Okay. Councillor Deneen?
I don't have much. I've been kind of incognito the last couple of weeks. I just want to thank everybody for covering for me while my time away, and thank everyone for their well wishes and condolences on the passing of my mother. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Councillor MacArthur?
Thank you, Deputy. On the 19th, we had an evening hall board meeting and learned all about the new regulations with the alcohol and gaming and all that stuff from Amanda. Great presentation, and made approval to continue to improve the already improvements that we made to the hall. So it seems like it's going to be a never-ending project, but we're going to get through it on money that's in the reserves at the evening hall board's reserves. And then last Saturday, I went out to the Aerodome where they had celebrated what they call Black Friday event for, it was on February 22nd in the 50s, where Diefenbaker pulled the plug on the Avro Aero, and 14,500 people lost their jobs in one day. So it was a very interesting presentation. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Councillor Broderick?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. February 17th, attended the Clearview Library Board meeting. February 21st, attended the Clearview Chamber of Commerce Awards dinner at Dundroon Highlands. And yes, Councillor Beelan did keep it short. On behalf of Clearview Chamber of Commerce Board, I'd just like to extend congratulations to all the nominees and award recipients, and express our appreciation of all of our great businesses. February 22nd, attended the Central Ontario ATV Club winter ride in the Brentwood tract of the Simcoe County Forest. And tomorrow, the 24th, I'll be attending the Simcoe County Council meeting with Deputy Mayor Van Stavern. Also tomorrow, I'll be attending the Creemore BIA board meeting. And that's it for me.
Good, thank you. And as was mentioned...
Point of privilege?
Eh?
Point of privilege?
You may go ahead.
John, I said it was short and sweet. The short part was easy, the sweet part wasn't. You said I was just short. I kept it short.
You keep working on that, Councillor Beelan.
I didn't mean to offend you. It was sweet as well.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. I won't say too much because I've been away, but as Councillor Broderick mentioned, we'll be at County Council tomorrow, and of course, Councillor Broderick will be representing the mayor, who will be away. And after the meeting, John, so just so you know, we will be doing the flag raising for It Starts, which is an inclusivity, and you and I will probably have our picture taken again as representatives. So anyways, we have that, and remind everybody that this Wednesday, we have the public planning meeting as well. So we'll be here back again at 5:30 on Wednesday night. So thank you. And this Friday for myself is also the NVCA meeting, which we've done virtually. So thank you. With that, we move to department reports, and we get a new kid on the block tonight. Warren, get up here. So Dan, could you introduce Warren, please, and just so we give him a formal welcome.
Certainly will, your Deputy Mayor. Just first, that Todd Patton was here. He had prior commitments that he had to leave for earlier. He thought if the agenda went quicker, that he would have been able to introduce Mr. Ward Raymond, but I will do that. It's my honor. Warren joined us almost a year ago. May, it'll be a year. As our compliance and QMS coordinator in the water department under Todd Patton. So Warren's here to, you'll see him for the next little bit to do our annual reporting. You've heard Ms. Stephanie Schell report these in the past. She retired early last year, and so Warren will take over. He's done a fantastic job since joining us, and it's been very seamless. And I congratulate our water department once again on excellent 2025.
Thank you very much, Dan. And Warren, I know we met at lunchtime there, we'll call it, but welcome. Glad to have you here. And don't worry, they'll give you a hard time, but we'll all do it for the fun of it. So thank you for your work. So just appreciate it. Keep going. Anyways, the floor is yours.
So good evening, Deputy Mayor, members of council. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm here in front of you to present the 2025 drinking water compliance reports covering the period from January 1st to December 31st, 2025. These reports have been prepared in accordance with the Safe Drinking Water Act, which serve to ensure transparency and accountability in the management of our municipal drinking water systems. These reports provide a comprehensive overview of each of our six drinking water systems in relation to water quality test results, regulatory compliance, operational performance, and any major expenses incurred. All of our drinking water systems continue to operate effectively, meeting regulatory requirements while providing safe and high-quality drinking water to our community. The reports before you tonight have also been made available as of today on the township website. With that said, I welcome any questions you may have of me. Thank you.
Councilors, anybody questions? Councilor Walker, Phelan? No? I have a question for you. The quick thing, you mentioned right off the bat, you said we have 6 drinking water systems. Number question 1, when we get our Klondike Park system going, number 7, right? When's the anticipated that system coming on? And just speak to that a bit, please.
I believe the anticipated date is around September 2027. Construction should be complete and online.
Okay, so it's still a year away.
Yes.
And that will be, we'll call it number 7 at that time.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's going to be encompassed into the existing standard drinking water system. So Klondike Park, although separate, will be tied in. They'll all be encompassed under the standard drinking water system.
Okay, so we won't treat it as a separate drinking system.
It'll be encompassed within the existing. That's correct.
Thank you. Good, Dan. Did you want to contribute anything further? So I think everything.
Warren did a fantastic job.
Did a good job. Hey, you heard us talk about sweet and simple? I won't say you're sweet and simple, but it was good. Thank you. John, did you wish to comment on that, please?
I was going to ask him how long it was going to take, and if he said it's going to be short, I was going to say sweet.
There, they are there. All right, thank you very much for that, and we'll, any other questions, we'll save them for another time, but thank you for that. It's nice to see the report, so good, thank you. Okay, can I have a mover? I'll read the report first. Be it resolved that the Council of Township Clearview hereby receives report PW 003-2026, the Drinking Water 2025 Compliance Report dated February 23rd, 2026 for information. Mover, Councilor Deneen, Councilor Walker will take. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Parks and Rec. Now, this is in regards to the bleachers, so I'm just going to read the recommendation. Sure, please do.
Thank you. It's not very often that we have option motions, so just referring to our procedure bylaw. So it's a little bit different. Council, under procedures, can open up the floor and talk about the different options, kind of like in a bit of a workshop session. And then after everyone's had a moment to speak, then our chair, deputy mayor, can ask for someone to make a motion for either option 1 or option 2, and then that would be the motion on the floor.
Thank you. Before we go too far on this motion, I'd like to go to CAO Ferguson, if that's okay. And Mr. Ferguson, if you could just bring us around where we could go.
Okay, so we knew that this is meant to be a gift to the community. And the question was, how can we allow community and community volunteers work on a municipal project, but the municipality not supervising that directly? Because we're a municipality bound by our own insurance and WSIB rules, we would have to, if volunteers were coming on our property, we would have to supervise them the entire time that they're there. So to work with citizens, a local company that wants to make this project happen, We discussed it with our legal counsel, and we would have to enter into a lease agreement. We have to take the piece of property, the bleachers, where the bleachers is on, and designate an area that we would lease to the local company who can bring in his volunteers or whatever the case may be under his insurance. It wouldn't be our insurance. He would have to give us a insurance in our name from his insurance company. The bleachers would have to be an approved engineered stamped drawings and then a stamped completion of the project by an engineer as well. And then the donations, we have to still verify from the Canada Revenue Agency what we're permitted to do. So right now, we've gotten 2 different answers from CRA, and we're going to follow up again. We're waiting for Jim to get back to make sure we're asking the question properly so that we get a green light. We have to send it to them by regular mail. They won't accept an email or a fax or anything like that. So we have to send it in, wait for the written response, and then once we have that, then we're for certain what CRA will permit us to do. So that's the process that we would follow if we take, I think it's option B, is it? Option 2? The other one is our normal process for tendering, but the normal tendering process doesn't really account, account for the community donations or the community volunteerism that would go into this. So that's really the separation of the 2 concepts. And it's not something you do all the time, but it's something that we can do in these unique circumstances. And so those are the 2 options before council.
Good, thank you. I'm looking around, but I think we know which direction we could want to go. Councillor Walker, did you want, or MacArthur, sorry. I looked over there. Did you want to speak?
I'm just wondering, can we ask the participant to answer some questions in the contract?
I don't have a problem. We already said that. Gord, would you like to?
Just based on through you, the deputy, based on the CAO's comment about the tax receipts, are we comfortable proceeding not knowing the answer to that question?
Well, I'm deeply committed, thanks for the question, through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor MacArthur. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm doing the community thing here, so I'm going to use my company. As you know, we're fully insured and fully capable and qualified to help Zach and the community of Clearview Township to achieve these beautiful bleachers. What I would like to add, I would like to thank Council, Derek. I'd also like to thank Terry and members of our rec department, Kelly and the accounting department, as well as Amanda, in the guidance that they have provided and the cooperation that they have given to make this to come to fruition. Without their cooperation and feedback and work, we wouldn't be here today. So I'm happy to donate my time and my company's time to make this happen for Clearview and the town of Creemore. It is quite a commitment. We are using my insurance. I believe I have to do a deposit, a security deposit. I'm willing to do that for the citizens of Clearview Township. So I don't know what else to say to you, Rob. I'm happy to help out. I'm a community-minded person, and that's kind of what I do. Paul.
Terry, question?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to add also just a little bit of a friendly reminder for council that the engineer, we've already gave direction to our engineers, Burnside, to complete the engineered designs. So that's part of the council's $10,000 commitment. If you recall, back in September 22nd, when we did our original presentation, there was a $10,000 commitment from council, and we are in the process of getting those designs stamped, ready to be for construction.
I think we've been, the direction we want to go, Gord, is pretty obvious.
Well, I would like to add a few other things. I'm concerned in the community that this looks a little, it is unusual, but I'm not receiving any monetary benefit from this project. It's a community support thing that I'm doing. As I said, I'm donating my time, and I don't want this to be misconstrued as something that's between council and myself.
No, I
Totally nothing to do with
I
that.
think, Gord, people, when the word gets out, the nice part about this, it could set an example of how we can do community projects in the future. Because it's not always about coming to the council, it's about the community helping themselves, ourselves, whatever. So I think we'll deflect, if there's criticism like that, we'll cross that bridge, because the old story, there's no financial gain here for anybody. So
No.
I congratulate you, and I think it's going the right way, so.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I would also like, and I maybe haven't had this discussion with council and with Terry. I have committed, I've already done a lot of legwork, obviously, not knowing what was going to happen this evening, but I have approached most of my contacts, many sub-trades, and I think what's going to be happening, Zach has come up with a lot of fundraisers, so I'm almost 100% sure that I'm going to be able to deliver this at no cost to the community. So what you're going to be dealing with is extra money from the fundraising that Zach has undertaken to do and will be doing. So you're going to be dealing with a situation where you need to decide what to do with the funds that Zach raises. So be prepared for that, because I want my supporters and community-minded businesses to be recognized when this is completed. So I would propose that we erect a plaque to commemorate their donations and their time to this event. So this is just an example of what our community can do when we get together.
And Gord, I don't think, whatever happens, it's going to be done tastefully, properly, with the support of the committee that's done it. I will plant a seed. We had I'll just talk about, one of the big things we need in Creedmoor yet is a public tennis court. Keep that in mind. So if there's a plan B or another project,
I'd have to sub that one out, Paul, but I don't build tennis courts, but.
Court, where there's a will, there's a way. Anyways, that's fine. Thank you. We'll take those comments. With that, stay there for a second. We heard option B. I'm going to read the recommendation again. Be it resolved that the Council of Township of Clearview hereby receives report PCR 003-2026, Gowan Park Bleachers Procurement Options dated February 23rd, 2026, and that option 2, that Council direct staff to negotiate a management and construction agreement with 737-494-476 Ontario Inc., Mountain Ridge Custom Homes Inc., to complete the construction of Gowan Park bleachers, with the contractor being responsible for the entire project, built to the specification provided to the township through engineered stamped drawings, and that all fundraising initiatives are to be managed by the contractor with the authority for the township to issue tax receipt to be confirmed and approved by the CRA. Councillor Walker, Councillor, pick one there, MacArthur. Anyways, all in favor? That carries unanimous. Gord, it's going that way. So
Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you. Now we go to administration. And these are, I think, just basic things that I don't know we have much to say. We just got to put those through now. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report HR-001-2026, Human Resource Department staffing dated February 23rd, 2026, and that the Council approves increasing staff allocation for human resources from 2 to 3 FTEs, full-time equivalents, by adding a full-time human resources assistant, and that this additional position to be funded through the tax stabilization reserve for 2026. Mover, Janine, seconder, Broderick, all in favor? That's carried unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Clerk's Department, bylaw enforcement. Now, I do believe, who's handling? You're handling that one, okay. We have to talk, and I'm going to read the recommendation so that everybody understands it in public. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report LS 004-2026 Municipal Election 2026 Restricted Acts, the lame duck, dated February 23rd, 2026. Number 1, if council is a restricted position, lame duck, after nomination day, August 21st, 2026, and or election day, August 2026, to the commencement of the new term of council pursuant to the Section 275 of the Municipal Act 2001, that council delegates authority to the chief administrative officer to take action where necessary on certain restrictions listed in Section 275(3) of the Municipal Act 2001 as follows: the appointment or removal from office of any officer of the municipality, the hiring or dismissal of any employee of the municipality, the disposition of any real or personal property of the municipality which is of value exceeding $50,000 at the time of disposal, and making any expenditures or incurring any liability which exceeds $50,000 that have not already received budget approval. And the council directs the CAO, Chief Administrative Officer, to report on any actions taken under the restrictions listed in 275.3 of the Municipal Act 2001 between nomination day and the commencement of the council term, and this delegation be finalized through a bylaw to council with the delegation expiring on December 7th, 2026. Madam Clerk, would you speak about that, please? I've read it. That's on my job.
We love our lame duck report. So this is a common report that's brought in the year of the election. It's just a protective measure because under Section 275 of the Municipal Act, if council has the occurrence to go lame duck after nomination day or even after election day, then there's certain restricted acts that it cannot perform. So it's commonplace that that is delegated to your chief administrative officer or another officer of the municipality. Clearview Township historically has always delegated that power to our CAO. I do think it's important to make a comment here regarding strong mayor powers. This is our first election with a strong mayor, and this restricted act is only for council. Strong mayor powers do not go into lame duck. Currently, those powers have been delegated back to our CAO and our council, but if the mayor chooses to take those powers back, they can still use strong mayor powers. The only thing they wouldn't be able to do is remove an officer of the municipality. Strong mayor powers doesn't allow them to remove an officer, but other employees. So I just want to make that clarification so council knew what that meant. We could or could not go into lame duck. We won't know until we reach those key dates. I don't know, I wasn't here the last election. I don't know if you guys did go in lame duck, but this is just a protective measure so we can just do business continuity.
Thank you. CAO Ferguson, did you want to comment on that?
No, Deputy, it's a standard process during lame duck.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. I got a mover. MacArthur, Broderick. Okay, you've heard the motion. Call from all in favor. All opposed, carried. Thank you. Okay. So we should be okay going into the election now, or after the election. Bylaw, delegated authority. No, do I have to, oh yeah, sorry, I knew there was something else I'm missing there. Report LS 005-2026, After Hours Canine Control Services Agreement. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report LS 005-2026, After Hours Canine Control Services Agreement, dated February 23rd, 2026, and that council approve entering into after hours canine control agreement with Ontario Animal Control effective April 1st, 2026 to March 31st, 2029, with an automatic renewal for an additional 3 years at the annual rates provided for in this agreement. Any questions about it first? Councillor Walker.
Just quick, how do we know of numbers of calls that we get on the weekends to initiate this contract?
Through your worship to Councilor Walker, that is actually a great question. I think last year we used these services about 7 times for an actual pickup of a dog. That's just during that contractor's time. But the inquiries that we get and the back and forth between that contractor and people who have picked up dogs is quite heavy, but a lot of the times they find the owners before it has to be taken to the pound. So they still provide that administrative service for us, so our bylaw officers don't necessarily have to.
Okay, any other questions? Either, oh, Councillor MacArthur?
Yeah, I just noticed the comment there where we're getting a bit of a break because we've worked in conjunction with another township,
Right,
so
yeah, yeah.
that's good for us.
Well, they're nice and close and they're on the way, so that's good. Okay. All in favor? Oh, mover, sorry, I'm sorry, I got you two last time. Counselor Walker, Counselor Balin. Okay, all in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you. And, okay, we are going to bylaw 2614, delegated authority. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 26.4-14 being a bylaw to delegate certain duties and acts during restricted periods after nomination day or the election of a new council be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 23rd day of February 26. Mover, Councillor Deneen, Councillor MacArthur, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Any notices of any notice of motion or new business? Anything coming forward? Seeing none. Thank you. Confirmatory bylaw. Be it resolved that the council, that bylaw 2615 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the February 23rd, 2026 council meeting being presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 23rd day of February 2026. Mover, Walker, Balin, thank you. All in favor? Carried. And now a motion to adjourn. Be it resolved, the council meeting hereby adjourn at 7:06 p.m. Moved by Deneen, seconded by Broderick. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll see everybody on Wednesday.